Sure, star players like Caitlin Clark already know how to put their skills on the court and rock the game. They don't really expect a lot from their mentors, maybe guidance at just the right moments. Another one has to be solid communication. Now, if rumors about Stephanie White joining the Indiana Fever have it right, CC might just get that much needed mentorship, helping her towards the title even. Recently, host Sept Sohi and Indian Fever beat writer Scott Agnes sat down and discussed what White could bring to the Fever. I think the first thing is just the transparency, the honesty, Agnes said. And if I'm a player, especially, I know in this situation, it's always going to go back to Caitlin. Great players like her, they want to be challenged. They want to be pushed. He emphasized that the stars want their coaches to be aware of their actions and the reason behind them. But at the same time, they want that balance of communicating back and forth, he asserted. So I think one of Steph's best traits, first of all, is an excellent communicator. For instance, in the winter off-season, she hosts at least a dozen NBA games for ESPN. That tells you how much executives at that network think of her. For example, the Fever writer believes, can her appointment provide a footing for Caitlin Clark and co? However, they bounced back big time with an impressive 8-2 record after the Olympic break. But the buzz about the 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year started when Connecticut Sun and Fever confirmed that they are letting their HCs, White and Christie Side, respectively, go. Then, a past clip of White praising the Fever's growth fueled the rumors. I was born and raised in Indiana and have a lot of pride in Indiana basketball and have a lot of pride in the Fever organization being a player and a coach, and it's exciting what's happening with the organization and where they are, she expressed. Her loyalty to the franchise could make her return feel like a homecoming. As the head coach, she played a crucial role in leading the Fever to the finals in 2015. She knows how to develop players, having nurtured the potential of rookies like Natasha Howard. Moreover, she has always been in awe of the 2024 Roddy, even backing her up when she wasn't performing well in the WNBA in the initial days. But after a few games, CC unleashed her full potential and never looked back. She has also reciprocated mutual love and respect for the ex-and coach. The Indiana newbie is no stranger to singing White's praises. The young star recently referred to White as a pioneer in the sport, saying, she's obviously called a lot of my games all throughout college. I just think she has a really great basketball mind. As Scott and Sept also discussed on the Ringer WNBA show, the 47-year-old has made a name for herself as a college basketball analyst for ESPN and the Big Ten Network since 2007, covering everything from games to tournaments. I think she's done a great job of calling college games. It's been great seeing her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she's obviously been a trailblazer, said the Iowa alumna. And she very well knows that the Fever former has never shied away from appreciating her. Honestly, I think she's always been somebody that's been supportive of my game. It's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career and I've always been really supported. With Clark and White potentially teaming up, the Fever could be on the edge of a glorious new chapter. Well, we'll just have to wait and see if that dream scenario becomes a reality. Following the recent coaching upheaval, the Indiana Fever are in search of a new head coach, and the name on everyone's lips is Stephanie White. Rumors have intensified this week, particularly after White's exit from the Connecticut Sun, with numerous sources staking their claim that she could be the ideal candidate to lead the Fever. According to insights from Annie Costable of the Chicago Sun-Times, the buzz around White potentially returning to her former post in Indiana has stirred excitement among fans and players alike. Central to the Fever's youthful roster is none other than Caitlin Clark, the reigning Rookie of the Year. Clark has previously lauded White's significant influence within the basketball realm, which adds to the intrigue surrounding this potential appointment. Before her inaugural professional showdown against the Sun back in May, Clark made headlines by commending White for her contributions as both a coach and analyst, highlighting the profound impact she's had on the sport. She's been a trailblazer, honestly, Clark shared. I think she has always been somebody that's supportive of my game. I just believe she possesses a brilliant basketball mind. She has done a fantastic job as a college games commentator, and it's been refreshing to see her transition into NBA coverage. Discussing basketball with her during shoot-arounds throughout my college career has been incredibly insightful. White's resume is nothing short of impressive, boasting a rich history in basketball. A former star at Purdue, she dedicated 6 seasons to the WNBA before stepping into a coaching role in 2003. White took the reins as head coach of the Fever in 2014, and her tenure as a basketball analyst, particularly with ESPN and the Big Ten Network, has greatly enhanced her standing in the sports community. Beyond her professional accolades, White has heartfelt ties to Indiana. Growing up in West Lebanon and previously honored as Indiana Miss Basketball, she has not only graced the court over 100 times donning the Fever jersey but has also taken on responsibilities as an assistant and head coach. During her last 2 campaigns with the Sun, White achieved a commendable 39-27 record, guiding the team to the semifinals on 2 occasions. One of the first opponents to officially welcome Caitlin Clark to the WNBA was Stephanie White. Ahead of Clark's rookie debut as her Indiana Fever faced White's Connecticut Sun in the regular season opener, Clark greeted the former Purdue and Fever star first. White, who has been linked with the vacant Fever head coaching job, has been nothing but complimentary of Clark, even imploring people to chill out regarding the former Iowa star. Once news broke of the Fever firing Christy Sides on Sunday, White's name instantly jumped to the top of the list of potential candidates. And it makes a lot of sense. Indiana Miss Basketball. National champion at Purdue. Former Fever player and coach. And then Monday, White and the Sun agreed to part ways, opening the door even further for a potential homecoming. Ahead of that May 14th opener, Clark was asked about White, who also works as an ESPN analyst and covered plenty of Hawkeyes games. Notice how Caitlin described Stephanie White. You think she ever called Christy a great basketball mind? It's always she's a kind lady love. She's obviously called a lot of my games all throughout college, and I think she has a really great basketball mind, Clark said. I think she's done a great job calling college games. It's been great to see her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she obviously has been a trailblazer, honestly. I think she's somebody who's been supportive of my game, and it's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career and has always been really supportive. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is it's fun going up against her here now for my first time after her calling a lot of my games. Now I get to play against her, so that's going to be a lot of fun for the both of us. Perhaps soon it won't be against each other anymore. Of the 13 WNBA teams that will compete next season, 7 organizations have head coaching vacancies. Some are desirable, and some are not. Here's where potential hires would love to land, and some spots they might like to avoid. The Fever job is easily the most desirable open gig in the WNBA. The only problem? It's probably not really open. Stephanie White parted ways with Connecticut and is almost certainly going to end up with the Fever. She's from Indiana, already had a successful stint on staff from 2011-14 and was head coach of the franchise from 2015-16 before taking a college coaching job. It's simply a great place for any coaching candidate to land. They are clearly on the rise, with established young stars like Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark and a veteran presence with Kelsey Mitchell. The Fever made the playoffs this season for the first time since 2016, when White was at the helm, so winning looks to be in the cards going forward. That and their recently renovated practice facilities make it a desirable location for free agents. Earlier on Monday, it was announced that 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year Stephanie White will not be returning as the head coach of the Connecticut Sun next season. While White and the Sun parting ways wasn't necessarily a surprise given recent reporting on her rumored departure, the timing is interesting given that the Indiana Fever fired head coach Christy Sides on Sunday. The expectation around the league is that it's now only a matter of time before the Fever announce that they have hired White to replace Sides. Not only does this pairing make sense because White is an elite coach who has both played and coached for the Fever franchise in the past, but she has also offered clear praise of Fever superstar Caitlin Clark. Early in the season, White said, "When I'm looking at all these things that people are talking about with Caitlin Clark, it's like guys, chill out. She is going to be fine. It's 2 games in, are you kidding me?" During a post-game press conference. "She's a student of the game, she got better every year. You're not just going to absorb all of the new information that's coming at you in two. The Indiana Fever are on the hunt for a new head coach, and Stephanie White has quickly become a name to watch. This week, following her departure from the Connecticut Sun, rumors have swirled that White might step in to fill the Fever's coaching vacancy, with multiple insiders suggesting she's a strong candidate. As reported by Chicago Sun-Times journalist Annie Costabile, White's potential return to the Fever has sparked interest, especially among fans and players. The Fever's young lineup, led by Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark, presents an exciting foundation, and Clark has previously spoken highly of White's influence in the basketball world. Before her first professional game against the Sun in May, Clark publicly praised White for her career as a coach and analyst, expressing admiration for her impact on the game. "She's been a trailblazer, honestly," Clark said. "I think she has always been somebody that's been supporting of my game. I just think she has a really great basketball mind. I think she's done a great job calling college games. It has been great to see her on NBA games. It's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career." White's resume reflects years of dedicated work in basketball. A former Purdue star, she spent 6 seasons in the WNBA before moving into coaching in 2003. She later earned her first head coaching role with the Fever in 2014. Her extensive experience as a basketball analyst, notably with ESPN and the Big Ten Network, has only bolstered her reputation in the sport. Beyond her coaching credentials, White has deep connections to Indiana. Hailing from West Lebanon and previously named Indiana Miss Basketball, she not only played over 100 games with the Fever but also served as an assistant and head coach. In her last 2 seasons with the Sun, White led the team to a solid 39-27 record and reached the semifinals twice. One of the first opponents to officially welcome Caitlin Clark to the WNBA was Stephanie White. Ahead of Clark's rookie debut as her Indiana Fever faced White's Connecticut Sun in the regular season opener, Clark greeted the former Purdue and Fever star first. White, who has been linked with the vacant Fever head coaching job, has been nothing but complimentary of Clark, even imploring people to chill out regarding the former Iowa star. Once news broke of the Fever firing Christy Sides on Sunday, White's name instantly jumped to the top of the list of potential candidates. And it makes a lot of sense. Indiana Miss Basketball. National champion at Purdue. Former Fever player and coach. And then Monday, White and the Sun agreed to part ways, opening the door even further for a potential homecoming. Ahead of that May 14th opener, Clark was asked about White, who also works as an ESPN analyst and covered plenty of Hawkeyes games. "She's obviously called a lot of my games all throughout college, and I think she has a really great basketball mind," Clark said. "I think she's done a great job calling college games. It's been great to see her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she obviously has been a trailblazer, honestly. I think she's somebody who's been supportive of my game, and it's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career and has always been really supportive. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is it's fun going up against her here now for my first time after her calling a lot of my games. Now I get to play against her, so that's going to be a lot of fun for the both of us. Perhaps soon it won't be against each other anymore." The Indiana Fever are preparing to announce a new head coach after the franchise parted ways with Christy Sides last Sunday in a move that was mildly surprising. This past season, many Fever fans were critical of Sides' coaching ability and believed she wasn't getting the best out of rookie superstar Caitlin Clark. Clark capped off a historic first season in the WNBA and will be looking for guidance to help her take the next step of her career. The top rumored candidate for the Fever's head coaching job at the moment is Stephanie White, who coincidentally parted ways with the Connecticut Sun on Monday. White's old comments on Clark have since resurfaced amid growing speculation that White will take the helm in Indiana, her home state team. The Fever guard also had plenty to say about White this past year when Indiana faced the Sun in the first round of the WNBA postseason. "She's obviously called a lot of my games all throughout college," Clark said at a Fever press conference. "I just think she has a really great basketball mind. I think she's done a great job of calling college games. It's been great seeing her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she's obviously been a trailblazer, honestly. I think she's always been somebody that's been supportive of my game. It's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career and I've always been really supported. In her Rookie of the Year winning campaign, Clark set a long list of franchise and league records while helping the Fever clinch its first playoff berth since 2016. Time will tell if White, or whoever the Fever's next head coach is, can turn Clark into an even more dominant force in the W in the years to come. Caitlin Clark could soon be working with Stephanie White, but the pair already have a brief history with each other. Caitlin Clark recently hailed Stephanie White as a pioneer in the sport and also offered an insight into the time they've spent together. Clark, 22, made an astounding impression in her first campaign in the WNBA by breaking record after record. The Indiana Fever point guard picked up the Rookie of the Year award after a strong debut season in the top division of women's basketball. However, things could be even better for the Iowa native as White could be set to return to Fever as a coach, 20 years after she left them as a player. White was recently fired by the Connecticut Sun after failing to progress past the semifinals in 2 consecutive seasons. Now her time there is over, she could be set to link up with Clark. Considering the guard's previous views on White, the pair would be a match made in heaven. In an earlier interview, when asked about her views on the season coach, Clark said, "She's obviously called a lot of my games all throughout college. I just think she has a really great basketball mind. I think she's done a great job of calling college games. It's been great seeing her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she's obviously been a trailblazer. Honestly, I think she's always been somebody that's been supportive of my game. It's been fun to talk to her at shoot-arounds throughout my college career and I've always been really supported." White managed the Sun to a 28-12 record, but it was not enough to win over the confidence of her board. While she has also been linked with a move to Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever are reportedly still in pole position to secure her signature. When Clark was struggling at the start of the season, she was one of the first figures to defend the youngster. She said, "I'm looking at all these things that all these people are talking about with Caitlin Clark. I'm like, guys, chill out. She's going to be fine. It's 2 games in, are you kidding me? She's a student of the game. She got better every year. In college, it takes time. Everybody on the floor understands how, when and where Caitlin Clark can get them the ball. And so they get there. Kelsey Mitchell's obviously playing at another level now, and so it gives you another player on the floor that you have to be mindful of, on and off ball in isolation and in 2-man. Stephanie White is out as head coach of the Connecticut Sun, the team announced Monday. In her 2 seasons in Connecticut, White went 55-25, including 28-12 this season, and led the Sun to 2 semifinal appearances. She won WNBA Coach of the Year in 2023. "We parted on good terms because some of White's decision-making process was not just about basketball," Connecticut Sun president Jen Rizzotti told ESPN, adding she assumes White will speak on her decision at a later time. The WNBA now has 7 head coaching vacancies. Prior to the Sun's announcement, the Indiana Fever were the latest to move on from their head coach, Christy Sides. The Chicago Sun-Times reported earlier Monday that the Fever were targeting White to replace Sides as coach. White previously coached the Fever in 2015 and 2016. White did not confirm what may be next for her, but did say it was a professional and personal decision to leave the Sun and thanked Connecticut for what the organization did for her. "It's not an easy decision to leave Connecticut, but I think the best one for my family and my career," White told ESPN. "It's meant a lot to me. I'm so grateful to Jen and the organization. It's a top-notch organization. For me to be able to return to coaching, which I didn't know if it would be possible, with such a great team and coaching staff, it's meant a lot to me. So this has not been easy. But certainly, at the end of the day, it's tough for me being away from my family. So from a professional standpoint and a personal standpoint, I feel like it's the best decision." The Sun will look to hire White's replacement ideally over the next few weeks, Rizzotti said. "I think number one is just some stability over an uncertain time in the WNBA," Rizzotti told ESPN about what the franchise is looking for. "I think that there's a likelihood of a lot of turnover in rosters throughout the league, and I want to look for a leader that's ready to lead us into the future, to be able to maintain a level of competitiveness, and if we have to retool our roster a little bit, to be able to grow with that team and grow as an organisa."